Hello, beer tubers, and welcome to another beer review with me, Peter, the master of hopping. Today, joined by
Brett
of Enomyces, cracking some more WeldWerks.
Yeah.
We're lucky enough to get a hold of a bottle of their Doppio Medianoche. And Medianoche is their most famous beer. Apparently, it undergoes a 30-hour plus boil. And during this boiling time, they first do a double mash that they boil for 30 hours. And then on day 2 of that boiling time, they do another mash. That they then add to that they also add to it, and that's how they get it so rich, which is nuts.
This is one of the blackest beers.
But how can you do that? How can you? You need some really good equipment, and you have to be sure that it can. I mean, it's boiling can be done on its own, of course, but you need some kind of supervision. At least I don't know. It's crazy, but apparently that's part of what they do when they make the Medianoches. But apparently this one, when it came out, we got it a few weeks after release. But we didn't crack into it because a lot of people were talking about it was crazy, too coffee forward, right?
Yeah, in really intense coffee.
Yeah.
And apparently the last few weeks,
people have been talking about, wow, okay, now it's really opened up because the coffee is just like died down a little bit.
Yeah.
Thanks a ton to Dalton for picking this one up for us. It's gonna be fun to try some coffee stout from WeldWerks or some coffee.
Old Elk was amazing.
Old Elk was
WeldWerks. No,
yeah, but that was just such a phenomenal beer.
Yeah.
As I'm hoping this one, now that people say it's smoothed out a bit and whatnot, I'm sure it's still gonna be great.
It's just weird with the ratings on a few of these Medianoches because they are so much lower than the very highest rated Medianoches, and I just don't get how can there be such a big difference. And I don't think there is a big difference. I just think it's a matter of preference.
Possibly.
Because Old Elk wasn't, to me it was kind of like a baby BBT.
Yeah. It'll also be fun to try the port version. I think that's also one that people are like, yeah, because it's port.
Yeah.
Like people,
I don't know what's
it's got to be fudgy, sweet, bourbon, vanilla goodness, and then we're good to go.
Yeah.
No. But this one is Medianoche aged for 24 months in freshly emptied 4 to 7 year old bourbon barrels, and then it got a double or doppio infusion of coffee from Mosher Coffee, and they use Gesha coffee and Jamaican Blue Mountain. Yeah. I've had Gesha coffee and I've had Jamaican Blue Mountain. And I will actually say the lot of Jamaican Blue Mountain, which I forget was where it was from, is actually probably the best coffee I've ever had. I liked it more than the couple of times I've had geisha coffees.
Okay.
But it could have just been that I got a really good crop or something.
Yeah, that's also how you treat it.
Yes, of course. It was actually bought in Italy.
Okay.
That one in a coffee shop. But they use those, and then to smooth out some of the coffee flavor, they also finally conditioned it on Ugandan vanilla beans.
Yeah. So maybe they already knew, okay, maybe we put a bit too much coffee
in there, so let's add some vanilla to try and mellow it out. Yeah. But we'll see. So yeah.
It's perfect temperature.
Yeah, perfect.
Cellar temp.
Yes. Wow. Thick and black.
It's a beautiful beer.
It is so viscous. Try and swirl it in the glass. Yeah, try and swirl it in the glass. It's just like, man. And just the darkest, densest of heads, and it just stains the glass.
It looks like... Old Elk Medianoche.
Yeah, it does. Exactly. So, you want to dive in?
Yeah, I want to.
Let's do it.
Oh man.
It is. I think we talked about an Old Elk, about espresso, chocolate covered espresso beans. This is exactly that.
Yeah.
This is like...
Almost also with a bit of caramel.
Yeah. Oh man.
Because of the bourbon.
I don't know, like this...
Guldkaramella. It has kind of like a vibe of Guldkaramella because of that dark chocolate caramel.
Yeah.
Guldkaramella
is a Danish chocolate. It's like fudge or something like that. Caramel.
Yeah.
That's covered in dark chocolate.
Yeah. It has kind of that.
Yeah, I totally see it. Guldkaramella with coffee, but there's so much. I don't think the coffee on the aroma is overdone.
No.
And maybe that's with the age. To me, this smells like it gives me throwbacks to Fall of Umeboshi.
Yeah.
It surely does.
And it also smells a bit like tiramisu.
Yeah, I see that. And there's like this really rich vanilla undertone. I think the reason why it smells like tiramisu is because it's sweet and there's vanilla. It's almost vanilla frosting, and then there's so much caramel.
Yeah.
There's loads of fudgy caramel in this.
Yeah.
But what it also has, it smells umami-like and smells like a stout. It's not sugar water.
No, it also smells like again, that hefty espresso kind
Yeah.
of nuttiness and
There is like this deep
robust.
umami richness, but the reason why they get that is because they boil the beer for 30 plus hours.
Yeah,
That must be
the
it.
grain bill.
But when you look at the grain bill, they use mainly chocolate malts, and chocolate malts don't have loads of umami and roastiness. But I guess when you boil it in really crazily, you get that without getting really harsh astringent malt character or roasted malt character. And then also it's aged in barrels for 12 months, and then longer than that when it's blended like this. But I'm stoked
a
on drinking this.
smidge of like sweet tobacco.
I'm also getting a smidge of milk chocolate.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and also
totally see
vanilla.
that. A really nice bourbon character is like that fudgy bourbon character, but there's also to me a good amount of drying woody cherry oak.
Definitely that woody component.
And they talk about how you need a little bit of tannin in your beer, but too much will ruin the mouthfeel of a beer in the finish, apparently. At least in stouts and what they found out. And you smell that there is some drying oaky tannins, but it's soft. And that's why they do blending, I guess. It's so that it doesn't go overboard, so you have a beer that's just like licking the outside of a barrel, because I've tried that.
Yeah.
Man, WeldWerks is slowly, just from the aroma alone, becoming one of my favorite breweries of stout.
Just because I feel like they are very underrated.
Hugely, but I don't know. Like this, is it because it smells like it's robust and roasty, toasty as well, and like
not
umami,
super duper sweet.
and it's just like sweet pastry. I don't know. To me, this smells amazing.
Yeah.
So much chocolate too. Cheers. Let's check it out. Whoa, there's a lot of coffee on that.
Yeah,
now you see why people said to age it on the flavor. Woo!
Yeah. Wow,
It is intense.
Yeah. That's a double shot espresso.
It is. I guess it is like espresso. I think I think maybe the reason why a lot of people dislike it is because it's very much like drinking double shots of espresso.
Yeah.
Like it has such an intense, deep coffee character. Like it's almost like drinking an espresso stout mix in terms of that, but it's been barrel aged.
Yeah.
And it's definitely also because it's not sweet. And you can tell
not crazy sweet at all.
It has a huge bitterness from the coffee. I think it's a combo of coffee and roasted malt, maybe also tannins. But you can totally see why a lot of people aren't as stoked on this, because this is not your traditional sweet, fudgy, cakey Imperial stout at all. It's
nutty, roasty, charry.
Woody, and then like huge bourbon forward characters, but it's got chocolate, but it's like the most, I don't think I've ever had a stout that tastes this much of espresso.
No.
Without it being espresso.
Yeah, but also without it being like, there's perhaps a bit too much coffee, but the coffee is, tastes so good.
I think the brewers, I think so. I think the brewers set out to make a double shot espresso style stout.
Yeah.
And they succeeded. Because it tastes like an espresso stout. At least from the descriptions, it seems like that's what it was. Even though you said like maybe they also figured that maybe it was a touch too much coffee.
Yeah.
But I think this one will benefit from even further aging too. Like right now, it's drinking really good. I think if you like espresso and really intense, rich coffee character, if you're a coffee nut, like coffee is my favorite beverage, beer, second favorite coffee. Like I love coffee so much. Of course, H2O. It's very
I also
important.
love coffee. I'm just very sensitive to caffeine. So, and that
I'm
sucks. It really sucks. But I love the flavors of coffee. So
When you get all jittery.
I'm interested to see if this will keep me awake tonight, because I feel like this. Caffeine still stays in the beer. At least some of it. And there's a lot of coffee in this one, but it tastes fucking great. It is. I think I liked Old Elk a bit more.
I was just about to say I liked Old Elk more because it struck more of a balance, and again it was like a mini BBT. But to me this is still a world class coffee stout. But it's just
has like a deep, like dark chocolate, hazelnut kind of
it's
coffee
almost
character.
It's almost the same kind of depth, roasty chocolate hazelnutty flavor as in Scent by Liars, just supercharged maybe a bit more. But by no means is it too bitter or cloying or too drying or anything with all those flavors. I think
it's just.
But I think for a lot of people it's too much, and I think For a
This is too much with
No,
ropes.
but I think it's maybe also a little bit different for a European palate, and especially Scandinavian, because we drink the most coffee in the entire like Scandinavia consumes the most coffee per capita of any regions in the world, and I think number one is Sweden, or is it Finland?
I guess Italy also drinks a lot of coffee. But
But in Denmark and Sweden we drink more coffee per person than they do down there.
Okay.
And it's most often drunk black without any additives, and it's just like filter coffee. But most Scandinavians and Danes and whatnot also really dig espresso, and like these, even though I hate them and I think they're shitty coffee, the capsules where you do espresso shots are really popular. And I think a lot of Danes and Scandinavians have traveled to places like Italy and had amazing, having those espressos in the morning. And like, I think there's maybe a bit more of a thing where a lot of people are used to it. I think it's also a big thing in America nowadays. Coffee's definitely got a huge thing in the States with lots of micro roasteries. But I don't know if these really dense profiles of espresso is more of a European palate flair than American.
I guess it.
You often see a tendency with American stouts that also really rate highly swings towards more of a sweeter,
sweeter palate.
Yeah. Whereas it's not necessarily the same thing here.
No.
Also in terms of what's being created.
Yeah, absolutely. But going back to the beer, I'm also getting a bit of like it's not that it has a lot of acidity, but just a bit of like a very dark cherry kind of.
Yeah, and
really
I think
black cherry.
I think that's from the roasted malt and the coffee.
Yeah,
and then
but it's very nice that it has.
Yeah, and there is an acidic,
lighter
almost like
complexity.
But dark chocolate also has some acidity to it, and it's almost like that too. There's definitely some like acidity to it, and it's like really deep dark chocolate. It's like 80% dark chocolate, and I love dark chocolate, and it really encompasses that chocolate covered espresso bean flavor. In terms of grade, I'm gonna go 96. I think it's a world class coffee stout, but I think Old Elk is better, which we gave 97, 98.
Yeah.
And I also think Fall of Umeboshi was better, which we also gave in that range.
But that's also sweeter beer than this one.
It's a little bit sweeter.
Yeah.
But that being said,
it's very fudgy.
Yeah. But that being said, I don't think that in this beer detracts. From it's not that I would want this. I wouldn't want this to be sweeter and fudgier, because then it wouldn't be like a cup of espresso.
No.
Espresso, dark chocolate covered espresso beans.
I just the difference between this one and Old Elk to me is that Old Elk was probably a bit more complex.
The coffee makes it more one note.
Yeah.
And the vanilla is also definitely there, I think, with some flavor.
I was thinking like a strong 95, maybe a small 96. Yeah. So it's very good.
Yeah.
Really nice, man.
And like it's it's fairly easy to trade for. It doesn't trade highly because people, I guess, are not too keen on the really heavy coffee flavor. But I would imagine when this was released a few months back, it was intense, like even more intense.
When this was just released, the coffee must have been very intense.
But surely the most coffee forward beer I've ever had. Yeah, I think.
They actually say themselves a bit of sweet orange peel.
Okay.
Almond and sweet orange peel.
I can see almond.
I see maybe a bit,
but I think it's harder to pinpoint these small nuances of the beans because it's so espresso-like. Espresso to me often tastes also like pure coffee espresso flavor. I don't get loads of hints of different things, but I could see maybe some marzipan-y, almondy vibes, but that could also just be the barrel. I don't know about like raspberry.
No, I don't see raspberry, but maybe a touch of like a. Yeah, but also maybe just a touch, because it has a bit of like a slightly bright complexity to it. That could be a bit of like just like an orange. Like dark chocolate with a bit of, just a bit of orange peel in it. But now I'm just,
But I think we can deem this the most coffee forward beer in existence right now.
Yeah,
I don't think I've ever, it must be. I don't think I've ever had a beer that tastes as much like espresso.
No, not as much as crazy. I think we've maybe had some that were more unbalanced with coffee, but but it tastes so purely of espresso. But I don't feel like it overshadows everything else.
No. There's still definitely.
But it overshadows a bit.
World class beer nonetheless.
Yeah.
But you gotta like yourself some coffee. So if you guys had a chance to try Doppio Medianoche, Let us know what you thought of it. Fantastic beer, worth a shot, worth trading for, and it's easy to land. So you should do that if you want to try it. Thanks a ton to Dalton for helping us get this one. You're the man, dude. And as always, remember to comment, subscribe, check the Facebook fan page and Twitter and Instagram. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and ring the bell for future notifications about videos. And we're going to say cheers.
Yeah.
And see you guys in the beer review.